Today I will work out problems on materials requirement planning. As we all know that materials requirement planning is a technique to determine the quantity and timing for the acquisition of departmental items which are needed to satisfy the master production schedule. And we know that master production schedule is used to generate a master plan for what we need to purchase, how much we need it, and when it is to be needed. It's all the plan section, so that we can determine when the materials will be used to produce an item. MRP or requirement planning in abbreviated form of material requirement planning is MRP. MRP is used to determine how many materials we need in order to produce the item. And now this is one of the case study. We can see the problem. This is the master production schedule. Table shows that master production schedule. Week wise demand item is given, and we can say that this is one of the example of a fire extinguisher. And the fire extinguisher, we know that fire extinguisher consists of one cylinder. We can see in the table, second table 11.3, this is the main product. Fire extinguisher is the main product. It consists of one cylinder, one valve assemblies, and two handlebars. So if I make a flow diagram, then it will be like this. So our main aim is to produce the fire extinguisher. This is the main assembly or the final assembly. Final assembly. Okay, it can be made by using one cylinder. So these are the subparts. It consists of three subparts. First one is the cylinder. Second one is the valve assembly. One in the bracket, one means one unit, and handlebars. Then is the handlebars. It requires two handlebars are required for one fire extinguisher. Again, valve assembly is further divided into valve and valve housing. We can see from table 11.3, it is also clear. Valve and another one is the valve housing. One in number, one in number. If we match with table 1.2, we can see that fire extinguisher consists of one unit of fire extinguisher requires one cylinder, one valve assembly. You can see one in the bracket I've already given, and one and valve assembly is further needs one valve and one valve housing. This we can see. Then two handlebars. So this is the flow diagram of our one fire extinguisher. Now we will do the MRP calculations of this problem. So the details of the bills of material along with the economic order quantity and stock on hand for the final product and sub assemblies are shown in the table. We can see that. So the rules for the MRP calculation is that the master production, we know that the master production schedule gives the particulars about the demands of the final assembly. And so the projected requirement, it is also known as the demand is also known as our projected requirements. So projected requirements, so uh, the first term, first of I will be discussing is the projected requirements. Projected projected requirements. So projected requirements are the demands or demand is known as otherwise Demands of the final assembly. Demands of the final assembly, that is the demand. So we can see that here this is the in the master production schedule. The demand for fire extinguisher is 100 for the first week, and for the third week it is 150, for fourth week it is 140, likewise up to eighth week it is the 300 quantities we need. So projected requirement is the demands of the final assembly. And then and we know that stock on hand, we are very much used to the term stock on hand is the inventory. Stock on hand. Stock on hand, it is the inventory that we are having, we have stored for our future use. Inventory. And then the next term is our planned order release. These terms are very much essential for calculating the MRP calculation. Planned order release. So, planned order release is the plan to initiate the purchase. That means it is placing the order if the it is a planned order release means it's a placing the order if the stock on hand at the beginning of period is less than that of the demand. So, planned order release means, in short, let me tell you that it is placing an order. Only planned order release comes, that this term only comes when inventory or the stock on hand cannot satisfy the demand. Placing an order if the stock on hand if the stock on hand if the stock on hand at the beginning of the period at the beginning beginning of the period T, let's say at the beginning of the period T is less than the projected requirement, less than the projected, that means demand, projected requirements. That means this term comes into picture when projected requirement is nothing but your demand, when the stock on hand that you are having is less than that of the demand. Suppose your demand is 100 but you have stock on hand only 50 items, so you needed to place an order so that at the time of at the time of you could first week you could able to fulfill the demand 100. So that time planned order release comes into picture. So this is about your planned order release. Economic order quantity, we know it is the economic then it is the economic order quantity. It is the quantity that is ordered. Uh, mm, Let me write, and which depends upon the setup cost, carrying cost. So that is economic order quantity. So these are the terms, and then we should know that projected requirements. That means the demand of the cylinder and the valve assembly are same as the planned order release of the fire extinguisher. And let me note it down. The projected the projected requirement the projected requirements of the cylinder in this case of the cylinder and the valve assembly, cylinder and the valve assembly are same as the planned order release is abbreviated as POR, as planned order release of the fire extinguisher. We can see that fire extinguisher consists of planned order projected requirements of the cylinder and the cylinder valve assembly and handlebars. Cylinder, handlebars. I can add handlebars also. See, we see from this figure that fire extinguisher consists of cylinder, valve assembly, and handlebar. So, projected requirement of these sub parts are same as that of the demand for the fire extinguisher. And but in case of handlebars, it is two in number, so so it has to be doubled. That is the only thing. When we will work out the problem, it will be very much clear to you all. So otherwise, let me write down handlebar later on so that there won't be any confusion here. Let it be here cylinder and valve assembly. Okay. Then projected requirement of the handlebar are twice the planned order release of the fire extinguisher as it requires as it requires 2 units of 2 units of handlebar handlebars. So as it requires 2 units of handlebars. So now we will start working out. This is the question. So first we will do the MRP calculations. MRP means materials requirement planning. MRP calculations for so we have to make tables. Receipt, stock on hand, planned order release, projected requirement. projected requirement is nothing but our demand. Projected requirement. Then this is our receipts. Then stock on hand. I'm erasing this. This is the period. Projected requirement, that is our demand. Receipts, stock on hand. Stock on hand is our inventory. POR, as I've already told you, POR is the planned order release. Then in the question, we can see that time period is from week number 1 to week number 8. Okay. So we will start from 0 to 8. I'm taking 0 because it will show us what is the inventory we are having. Period 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So in this question, demand, I've told you that the demand for the from the MPS we see the demand for week 1 is 100 and for week 3 it is 150. We'll just put projected requirement is nothing but your demand, it is your 100, and third week it is 150. And then for fourth week it is 140 and fifth week 200. 140, 200. Then for sixth week it is again 140 and eighth week it is 100. So this is just we have put the demand for the MRP calculations. We can see this table that okay. We can see from the table that stock on hand is our inventory level for fire extinguisher is 150 and lead time is 1 week. So this thing we should write down here on the top. Stock stock on hand is our economic order quantity. Economic order quantity. No, that is not economic. Sorry, order quantity is our economic order quantity. That is different. Economic order quantity is either 300. Economic order quantity means at a time we will be able to order, we will be, because economic order quantity, from the name itself it is very clear that if we order more than 300, so will we have more items in the inventory, and we know that inventory always kills cost, and if we reduce the amount by 300, so we would not be able to satisfy the customer's demand, so it will be a loss to the enterprise. So so much of calculations are done to determine the economic order quantity. That means this 300 is fixed. Whenever there is a shortage, we will be ordering 300 quantities at a time. So that is our economic order quantity. In the question also it is given order quantity is 300, that is our EOQ, and lead time is 1 week. Lead time, so we will write down here. I am writing lead time as LT. Lead time is equal to 1 week. And stock on hand is, stock on hand, that means the inventory that we are having for fire extinguisher is 150. 150. So at zero period, so at zero period, that means we are having stock on hand is 150. Till now, we have not started any sort of calculation. Just whatever given in the question, we have just put it. That means it says that for the week one the demand should be demand is 100 units, and we have stock on hand for 150. So it is very clear that we can able to satisfy the demand of week one. So so here now it comes. So it will be, if we'll be satisfying the demand 100, then our remaining will be 150 minus 50, it is our 50. So stock on hand will be 50 quantities. So 50 numbers will, again we will be having stock on hand, and we can carry forward to week 2, because week 2 has no demand. We can see that week 2 has no demand. Again, we'll go to week number 3. Week number 3, our demand is 150 items of fire extinguisher. But we are having stock on hand only 50. So we need another 100. But we cannot order only 100, because our economic order quantity is 300. So at a time we have to order 300 quantities. And what is the lead time? Before 1 week we have to order, so that we will be receiving 300 quantities in the third week. So I'm ordering planned order release. Planned order release is the ordering. Planned order release. We are ordering. How much quantity we will order? 300 before 1 week. That means before we need on third week, means we will be ordering in the second week. So here we will be ordering 300 numbers before 1 week, so that we will be receipt, means receiving 300 quantities of fire extinguisher on the third week. Now we can see that already we have stock on hand is 50, and we got again receipt of 300 item. So total now we are having 50 plus 300, 350 units of fire extinguisher. But what is the demand? 150. So 350. So what is the stock on hand left is 350 minus 350 minus 150. Minus 150, it is equal to your 200. So now we are left with 200 quantities of fire extinguisher. Then we will carry forward. So 200 quantities we are having it. Now you can see that fourth week demand is 140, and we are having 200 units of fire extinguisher. So we can able to satisfy it. So from 200, if we subtract 140, remaining is 60 numbers. So now we will get 60 numbers of fire extinguisher. Now again, if we go to week number 5, you can see that it is 200. At 200 quantities we require, that is the demand, but we are having only 60 quantities, 60 numbers. So again we have to order before 1 week, because we want that on the fifth week we will be receiving 300. We want to get received in 300. As lead time is 1 week, we will be ordering here. So on the fourth week we have ordered, so that we got a receipt of 300 in the fifth week. Now total 360 items we are having it, but demand is only 200. So 360 minus 200, it will be our 140, 160. So it is 160. Now 160, and now the 6 week demand is 140. We could able to satisfy. So now it is our 20. On 7th week no demand, so we are carrying forward 20. So but now on 8th week demand is 800, so we cannot satisfy, so we have to order on the 7th week POR, planned order release, so that we are receiving on the 8th week 300. Now total 300 plus 20, 320 minus 300, it is equal to 20. Now so 20 is left behind. So this is the MRP calculation of fire extinguisher. I think everybody followed nicely.